tonight. I believe it's taking over my mind. Hearing you, what is going on to me? Maybe I could try to love it now. Ario, kida marie, arbende mwalo. Ario, kido arie, bende amwalo yo. Thank you very much.
Wallahi pulo sinani yasuru sinani jallo ni jakite sidi bengana ni sangare ndanon bi elba bako pulo jallo pulo soko pulo dieko pulo kako pulo bari pulo balde pulo bari pulo balde pulo kande pulo jawo pulo mbalo pulo bako pulo jallo pulo soko pulo mingo metal mini fulbe gambia baron bale anim matembara nadia jadia jadia anim matembara nadia jadia jadia anim matembara nadia jadia jadia anim matembara nadia let's go. Bada dikal Bada dikal Bada nyawal Jere nyawal Ekili mana punti Sukabe Afrika Akili mana punti Akili mana punti Sukabe Gambia Ekili mana punti Ekili mana punti Sarakajika Ekili mana punti Ansada yida Nendo hoto yididu Jawud Sab jaw Dinyibaki Kokobari Thank you. So then there are many kill the dough. Bismillah min ko mi dori arrahman yo min ko mi fuddim je bismillah min ko mi dori no arrahman yo min ko mi fuddim je janga doro nda sumi yayni jew janga doro nda sumi yayni ndene futa toro min sumi miji ndene futa toro min sumi miji ko nene hadim bomri so uddi suudu nene hadim bomri so uddi suudu baba hadi surgo so uddi galle e baba hadi turgo to uddi galle be cali gande boy de tawtude yontande to den bela korbade kelle do e so den bela korbade kelle gar e so den bela korbade kelle do e so den bela korbade kelle gar e so den bela min bar wela min bar wela min bar wela min bar wela dad leñol ken wela min bar wela min bar wela min bar wela gambia ken wela min bar wela min bar wela min bar wela ila sabi ken wela min nay min komi dorino aramani o min komi fuddima lamu tuba ko be bawde sa cekam e lamu tuba ko be dingal futanoma gande afrika be puyna cuudin be kedi lek men brandeti mboja de ken non jejete dande ma den jaarale jamaanu nga daldi ko den jaarale jamaanu 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 ati kam sine ne ci ko tuda wine ati kam sine ne ci ko tuda wine kono rada wine ne tabja abadiya ya wine ne yeso ko wone jamna
yëkkati loxo ci kaw yëkkati loxo ci kaw yëkkati loxo ci kaw
yëkkati 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 Gambia ci kaw Gambia ci kaw Gambia ci kaw yëkkati 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 loxo ci kaw pulo 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 ja ganjaral ganjaral
dama yitte
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 yëkkati loxo ci kaw pulo Gambia Gambia. Pulo Dogata, Pulo Hulata. Pulo Gambia. Sose Gambia. Jola Gambia. Directeur général. Directeur général. Directeur général. How you doing? You feel all right?
Now resumes. Please, maybe be seated. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much. We will resume, or we will continue from where we stopped before the break. And may I call on the honorable member for Sami?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the President for fulfilling his constitutional mandate. I want to thank Her Excellency the Vice President, ministers, and their representatives here present. Madam Speaker, if you look at the introductory remark by the President, number 3, may I read? It is an address which attempts to duly highlight my government's achievement and the ever-increasing diversification and impact of the pandemic on the economy and life in the Gambia. Madam Speaker, why people say that? What brought these regulations, Madam Speaker? It is the pandemic that brought the regulations. So when people are talking about the regulation, why should they not talk about it? This has effect, particularly those at the rural areas. All the markets are open here. Our lumos are still closed, Madam Speaker. I think this government should do something to open our lumos, because that's where our people are also depending on it. And it is just weekly. It's not every day. I think they should do something, Madam Speaker. If you look at the President's speech, it touched all the areas. But I cannot touch every part. The parts that I like, I will touch those areas. Education, basic and secondary education. As other speakers said, this pandemic affects greatly on basic and secondary education. And we must thank the basic and secondary education together with GTU, CCU. When this pandemic started, they quickly get up and come up with something so that at least children can learn. So we should appreciate that. They should have come up with something. It is just that it comes with a lot of challenges. We know that. Because people like those in the rural areas as others have said. If you look at CRR North, there is no radio station. Even coverage is a problem. But we should appreciate what they have. At least they have done something. With the help of the donors, World Bank came in. They are able to do those things. So we must thank them. And the school should open, Madam Speaker. The school should open. They should strategize and see how best to see that children go to school. We should start thinking about that. I think even you look at the report, it is clearly stated that they are on that process. They are on that process. Madam Speaker, higher education. The other speaker have mentioned it, but I saw it in the report that they are proposing to build a technical and vocational education training center in every region. In the report, it is stated there. But I will come back again. You know, Madam Speaker, any report that comes, you have to reflect your constituency, whether it affects your constituency or not. We cannot deliberate without looking at our consequences. We cannot. You cannot do that. Any report that comes, I look at whether it affects my people or not. The whole CRR North, if the report is saying that every region they are going to build a skill training center, and there is no single training center, skill training center in CRR, both North and South. I'm proposing, Madam Speaker, to Her Excellency, let CRR have two. Let CRR, the other one, not the other one, South. The other one, Madam Speaker, let it be in Sami. We have a land there. You can contact the Ministry of Works. There is a land there. Yes. Yeah. But if they bring one skill center in CRR, where are they going to put it? When they put it in Janjambure, those North will cross. When they put it in South, those in North will also cross. So that's why I'm proposing to Her Excellency, let them, at least have two. One in North and one in South. Or preferably, they can give us three. Yeah, because if you look at all these regions, they all have annex GTTI, MDI, and others. Our people, they always want to, come and do training, these things. But because of space, they cannot come. I think we should also have it at our doorstep so that our people can easily go and learn these skills there. Madam Speaker, from there, I go to agriculture. As others said, is the most important. And of course, is the most important. But, Madam Speaker, I always say it here, when we say agriculture is not only crops, both crops and animals. And thank God, the ministry has at least brought up this small ruminant program. And we approved that loan here. Almost 28 million US dollars. We have approved it here. I stand to be corrected, Madam Speaker. But we want to know the state of that. We want to know how far that is. And you see, Madam Speaker, for that one also to be successful, we cannot do it without these lumos. Because the good breeds are at these lumos. You go to these lumos, you see good breeds, bring them. But if these lumos are closed, where are we going to have the best breeds? Madam Speaker, if the reason why I said any report that comes, I look at, or I always ask my people. Not so long ago, I had a meeting with them on the 11th of this month, where I gathered about 80 participants. I have about 70 villages in Sami. I had a meeting with them and with some extension workers. But in that meeting, so many things came up. Thank you, Honorable Minister. In that meeting, they told me that the fertilizer came on time. They told me that. But it came with challenges. As I said, there is no bank in Sami. How can we tell people to go to Reliance, pay money and go and take their fertilizer? Which is very far, crossing alone. Fertilizer, $700. You spend a lot of money on it, Madam Speaker. When we are coming to, design policies, let's look at things which you think it can be suitable. We said we want to encourage farming. And now we are putting this thing attached to it. Not everybody have the mobility to go and buy fertilizer. Maybe some, they just need only 2 or 3 bags. So you tell them to go to Bansang to buy 3 bags of fertilizer, 700, and you think of the transport and other things. What about if you put it at the mixed farming centers, which is very close to them? Those who are very close to the bank, let them go to the bank. Those who don't have a bank, let them at least find ways that they can be accessible to the fertilizer. Coming to the seeds, they told me that the seeds came very late. According to my people, that's what they told me, that the seeds came very, very late. Madam Speaker, health, we must thank our health personnel when this COVID started. They are doing very well. But still, Madam Speaker, our health facilities need to be upgraded. I thought that the time this COVID started, they should think of every consequence where there is a major health center, at least they upgrade it. Particularly, especially Karantaba. The whole Sami is only Karantaba. It should be upgraded. And other places should be upgraded. For unforeseen circumstances, they should be upgraded. And even that, they are saying that they want to, in the report they say they want to build 8 permanent training center and treatment center and refurbish other isolation centers across the country. And they don't mention any place. They just say across the country. And looking at the health facility, again, I come back to CRR. It cannot be compared to any region. Because if you say Bansang is close, but what is there? Crossing. Where there is crossing, Madam Speaker, no matter how rough you are, if you reach to the river, you will stop. You must stop. That's why I said we are still in a critical situation unless and until they upgrade those health facilities to major health centers. Let them upgrade those minor health centers to major health centers. Let them upgrade them. And in the reports, they are talking about motorbike. If you look at some of the villages in Same or in other parts, they are very far inside. When a pregnant woman wanted to go to the health post, they find it very difficult. But with help of Riders for Health, when they have this motorbike, it can assist them. I think the ministry should try and liaise with the health personnel at those areas to see to it that and help those communities that are definitely in need of those motorbikes, so that they can also easily take their pregnant woman to the nearest health post. Because some of them, they find it very difficult. They have to use horse cart or donkey carts to take. Hello? Okay. Thank you. They have to use those donkey carts or horse carts. But when those things are there, it can help them. Madam Speaker, let me go to Office of the Vice President. As others said, there are so many institutions under her purview, under the ministry, like National Disaster Management Agency. We know that I think they should be preparing. They should know that anytime we are in the rainy season, I think they should plan for that. It should be in their plan, so that when there is disaster at anywhere, they can quickly respond to those issues. But Madam Speaker, before they respond, it takes time. It takes time. So they should try. And with regard to the food distribution, the other time when I had a radio program at Bansang, you know, some people, what the program is, they will not call you on that. But others will call you different things. Tell you, you are our MP, you are here, we don't have oil, we don't have this. You know, I say, but this radio program is not for that. I say, okay, no problem. It's understood. But you see, others have oil, others have rice, others have sugar, and my community, they don't have oil. No oil. They are texting me on that, telling me that why is it that we don't have oil? So I think anything that before we do anything, I think we have our statistic that we want to do this and that. Because for them, they may not understand it like that. But for them, maybe they think that it's the National Assembly member who did that, or what, or he did not say anything. No. Madam Speaker, Interior, we must thank the Interior. They are doing very well. To be candid, they are doing very well. They are trying. But they come with their challenges. We want to see those challenges. Every ministry have their challenges. Let us not only talk of what we achieve. Let's talk about our challenges. Like Karantaba police station is covering 70 villages. Even a bicycle, they don't have it. Even a bicycle, Madam Speaker, how can they patrol? How can they go? Even a bicycle, they don't have. And they are covering 80 villages or 70. I think the minister should try and visit some of these stations and see how your people are living, how they are living, how some of them are living. Their station, but with that they are trying. Even the armies at Lamenkoto, anytime I go to Same, I always go and visit them. I visit them. I ask them, what are your constraints? I cannot do, but I can come and say it. Here is the Bantaba. For everybody, I can come and say their problem here.
Honorable Speaker, can I rise on a point of observation, please?
No, please. When your times come, you can say what you want to say. I'm the one on the chair, please. Sorry, huh? I'm the one speaking. Honorable Speaker. I'm the one having this thing. If I want, I can go into the grass. Madam Speaker, transport works. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate. We appreciate the good work they are doing, and I hope they will continue to do the good work. But there is still much to be done. There is still much to be done. What we want, as the honorable member said, transport, public transport is very essential. Now, Lamenkoto Pasmas, our problem is the public transport. We also want that. We want that. So that a transport will be from, how to call it? Pasamas, Pas Same, go. We want that. Up to here. Up to Bara. So that in the morning when you get up, you stand on the highway. Ministry of Works, let them at least help us public transport. Because we have a good road now. We have a very good road. Ministry of Water Resource. Yeah. I also want to thank the Ministry of Water Resource. As the other speaker said, the other time they called me, they said they are going to Same to open some places, give them borehole. So we appreciate that. But there's still much to be done. There's still much to be done there. Water, clean drinking water is a problem for some communities. It's a problem throughout the whole country, I can say. But the reason why, if I always want to cite an example and cite example at my place, I don't want anybody to say, no, it's not there. So this is why I always take example of my place. I know my place than anybody. So this is why I don't want to take example of anywhere. And anything that comes, as I said, Madam Speaker, any report that comes, I try to see how I can put Same there. Any report that comes, I try to see how I can fix it there and take out the problem. So, Madam Speaker, I thank you very much for giving me the floor. Thank you.
Very much. May I call on the Honorable Member for Serekunda? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is the dusk of dawn. 2017 was the dawn of the government that is now given the duty to put its policies before us and indicate the nature of administration of the state. 2020 is the dusk, waiting for a new morning to be born in 2021. This is not an ordinary year. 3 years, now 4, is almost behind us. And we have a National Development Plan 2018-2021 to put into effect. Context matters, and the address of the President does speak the language of context. In the introductory remark, page 6, paragraph 4, he emphasizes that the address should be appreciated within the context of a unique global pandemic and a crisis of tragic consequences. The address highlights a calamity that has dwindled resources, disrupted plans and schedules, and shattered hopes and expectations. On the paragraph 5, he said, this is a crisis that has taken the world by storm and remains a threat to all nations, rich and poor, big and small. That's what we are facing, Honorable Speaker. And on the paragraph 9, page 7, he concludes by emphasizing that the address will show the extent of the impact of the pandemic on the economy and social life, and to indicate its implications on the 2018-2021 National Development Plan, and therefore on our national goals and objectives. Honorable Speaker, that very National Development Plan had the objective of mobilizing $2.4 billion for its implementation. But the Honorable Minister of Finance told us in his budget speech that what they managed to have in the coffers is $183 million, 10% of what is anticipated. Honorable Speaker, I will come to that. But what is more important is to situate the speech of the President to the National Development Plan by looking at the pillars. Honorable Speaker, if we look at page 69, we will see remarks made by the President showing the trend that the country must take in order to move in line with its strategic objectives. He says at page 16, at this juncture, let me reiterate my appreciation and gratitude to the CRC for submitting the draft constitution within the specified time frame. The draft copy has gone through the required processes and was tabled recently by this August Assembly to allow for the remaining phases of finalizing and adopting the new constitution. Am I really reading what the president has said, or am I inventing? Because what I see here is a mind intending for us to adopt a new constitution. That appears to be the letter and spirit of the executive. Honorable Speaker, looking further and on, Honorable Speaker, I hear the President emphasizing on the page 54, paragraph 4. In March 2020, the Constitutional Review Commission submitted the final draft constitution. The new Constitution Bill 2020 was gazetted and tabled before the National Assembly after the 3-month period stipulated by the law. Honorable President, Honorable Speaker, I see the President anticipating a third republic and had announced it in his speech that what was derailed was anticipated. A success story of the National Development Plan leading us to the beginning of a third republic. How can there be a third republic without a third republican constitution? How can there be a republic without a constitution? And Honorable Speaker, if you look at the National Development Plan, page 6, fundamentally its agenda, constitutional review, advancing transitional justice and strengthening legal systems. The project objectives conduct a comprehensive review of the Constitution of the Gambia and formulate the appropriate amendments that reflects the social and economic development aspirations of the Gambian citizens. That is the agenda. I would want the executive to tell me whether that agenda has been dumped into the high seas, or is it still the agenda? Then I would want to know from the executive, what route is it going to take to effect this constitutional reform? To bring a new constitution into being fundamentally different from the 1997 constitution. I would want that answer. Honorable Speaker, it is true that this day that we are now addressing is a day that evolved out of a process, a constitutional process of Section 77, which requires the President to address this body on an annual basis to indicate the policies of his government and the administration of the state. Under subsection 3, it says the Vice President shall answer in the National Assembly for matters affecting the President, and the President shall be entitled to send a message to the National Assembly to be read on his or her behalf by the Vice President. So it is the Vice President that represents the President in this National Assembly. And the Vice President is present here. Honorable Speaker, looking at what the President told us, it is clear that from the economic point of view, we are dealing with a state which has tremendous problems. He has indicated to us that the fiscal impact from the decline in import duties and other taxes is going to be 2,300,000 million, 2.3 billion. In written words, this is what is put. It should be 2.3 billion. Now, this is what is anticipated. And in order to deal with that, we know that the very foundation of the economy lies in our imports and exports. It lies with what we consume from our local production and what we consume from external production. How do we balance the economy is fundamental. But the ministry is involved in helping us to be able to generate revenue and spend it wisely. We need revenue from taxation, where there is income, where there is profit, whether tax on goods and services or international commodities that come into the country. Non-tax revenues, as has been mentioned, departments collecting revenue, whether it's coming from fees, from fines, all this would be sources, especially the public enterprises. Honorable Speaker, it is important to help the National Assembly to understand the resource base of the state and to understand how COVID-19 is impacting on that resource base and what we need to do to address that, because the two institutions are working together in harmony for the interest of the country. It's two brains sharing to be able to address challenges that we have in common. So it is important to have greater detail rather than just simply indicating some issues that has been indicated here regarding what will constitute the revenue base without going into the details. Honorable Speaker, we have seen the President indicating to us that by virtue of the fact that there had been shortages in terms of revenue earnings, therefore they had to divert certain resources to be able to address urgencies. By doing that, we are talking about violence. And it's important that in doing so, we comply with the Public Finance Act to see that whatever is via is done in the right way. And this is how Parliament and the ministry have actually been working to be able to shape the public finance system of the country. Those who are in that body are fully conversant with the fact that this Parliament has been assisting them to build the fundamentals of the public finance system. This Parliament has not worked against the interests of the country. It has been shaping the architecture for genuine public finance in the country. We have reviewed what was necessary in terms of debt management, And we started the process of getting reports, which we need to look into and fine-tune, and that will help the process. We have looked into the issue of getting foreign loans that used to just come into the central bank and treasury main accounts. We could not know how they got in there and how they would be spent. We've shaped all that, which means that this parliament has been assisting the ministry in order to do away with lapses that existed for over 4 decades. So therefore, this parliament has been working progressively to be different from every other parliament that has existed since Gambia became an independent state. That is the reality. So, Honorable Speaker, looking at the finance, we will see the need for greater detail so that we will know, do we need a revised budget? We had supplementary appropriation, 2.8 billion. So as we move, we'll see the thread. Where did we put the money? What did it generate? Did we meet the expectations? This is precisely what this report is supposed to deliver. Honorable Speaker, not only that, we are not an island to ourselves. We are part of ECOWAS. There's ECOWAS levy. We are supposed to have what is essentially a single currency. What is the state? The President recently attended a meeting, the 57th Ordinary Conference of ECOWAS. What did they agree regarding the currency? That is what this report is supposed to do, is to give us details. We need to know how the country is being run, the policies of the country and the administration of the state. That's what we need to know. We are not in the executive. We do not join other head of states. We do not sign communiques. We don't know what is happening there. We're not supposed to take our own individual approaches to go and investigate to know what is happening. That's not what Parliament should do. Parliament should be informed. And we are not being informed. So, Honorable Speaker, we can go on to interior. Honorable Speaker, it's about policy. Paragraph 2, the President is telling us that to compound the challenges, key components of the ongoing security reform, namely the third phase of the German support training program and the institutional policy drafting process, have been halted. Policy drafting has been halted. Why should a policy drafting process be halted? Because of COVID-19. How can brains be halted? What does it require to draft a policy? What we should be informed is the phase of the policy, of the drafting process, but not talking about the halting of a process. And the Honorable Vice President need to explain why all this thing is being halted. Because that's a key element of the transition process, security reform. And it is important to bear in mind that at the level of ECOWAS, the country requested for ECOMIG to stay. And they're talking about transforming that force more into protocol that will establish a police responsibility for that force. They are seeing that Gambia is so stable that you may not even need a military force. They are not having the type of problem they are having elsewhere in the Gambia. So it means that we need to redefine all this and see where resources should go. What do we need to have security. What type of security, internal security, are we looking for? What type of Gambian do we have? Who are we? At all levels, political, civil, what type of Gambian do we have? That we are not able to maintain stability in our country. Not just cosmetic stability, but I say, do we really need these forces? Some will say yes. You say why? Because we are insulting each other. We are attacking each other. We are threatening each other. So others must govern us, must rule us, so that we are able to behave. That's what we are saying. We are failing. We are failing to build a nation where we respect each other, love each other, and have no interest but to build a nation where all of us will survive in liberty and dignity. That's what we are failing to do. And that should be recognized, Honorable Speaker, that the security reform process was meant to create new beings in the security forces. People who know that they are providing a service, a security service, not a security force. And that was debated, even injected in the draft constitution, that we must get rid of the mentality of a force, an instrument of coercion, but to be a service, an instrument of protection. We are missing the agenda. Honorable Speaker, defense. What do we have? It talks about the Navy. What type of petrol boats are they using? Do they have enough fuel? What are their challenges? What does this parliament need to do? Because we are going to be approving budgets. You are prioritizing the Navy. You're not telling us anything about their challenges. Honorable Speaker, the purpose of telling us details about the administration of the state is to be able to know the challenges so that we can share in common to know what we need to do to address those challenges. That is the objective. Honorable Speaker, we see, what do we see? We are being told that the public relation dimension of the army in terms of winning an award. So yes, that's the type of army that we need. An army controlled by civil authority. An army that can integrate with the people. That knows the concerns of the people. That can serve the people. That is what we need. But Honorable Speaker, how do we sustain such an army? We've not been told everything about their external missions. And our military forces are now in Darfur. So what is the situation of those forces? And in terms of law enforcement, you go to the police officers, how are they being paid? What are they being paid? Are their interests being properly served? Look at this rainy season. Look at those in the traffic. Do they have proper raincoats? Proper hats that protect them from the rain? Those who every time you want to go on a particular mission, so they must pay a taxi. Do we really strategically know what we want? What type of motorized missions that our armed forces should carry if they want to go to Darfur, etc. All that needs to be injected here to know that they are well prepared for external missions and for internal missions. Similarly, motorized mobile police forces, giving them motorcycles so that they'll be able to carry out their tasks. How can they carry out border control? You don't have to have all the wealth in the world. It's all about strategies. You can have police officers, each with a motor bicycle. Anytime something happens, they all go together. All you need to do is their command and control so that they know what to do. You don't need all that wealth. It's all policy and strategy. Honorable Speaker, that's what we want to know. We want to use the policy of the government as mental food so that we can think and know what programs we are to sponsor, to prioritize. That's the objective of this speech. That's why our standing orders is actually saying that it is best done, it should be done in the first quarter. That should be elevated to the level of a constitution. That's how you draft a constitution. What is missing, you put it there. And if you are gauging a constitution, that's your gauge, that's what you should check, whether what is missing is there. Honorable Speaker, Office of the Vice President. Yes, we've seen, I don't need to go into all the success stories of being able to gather resources to be able to finance 84% of a program that deals with vulnerable people. And of course, complaints are being lodged in some areas in terms of the 824 million that was provided to provide rice, sugar, and oil. What is there, Honorable Speaker, is a coupon given to each indicating what they should receive. Once that is given to a person, that is as good as money. Anything that is missing from that coupon that is given is theft. So that is what we need to inject in the minds of our people to understand their rights. That if a coupon is given, that is your right. You own that, and that should come to you. If it does not come to you, somebody must be accountable. That is why that mechanism must be seen as a very, very positive mechanism to be able to eradicate that form of corruption, of diverting the resources that should go to the people. So sensitization is necessary. The National Disaster Management Agency must sensitize, help the people to understand their rights, and have your own complaint group, call it whatever, committee, to ensure that whoever fails to receive, the Alcala will report and it will be investigated. Then you will ensure that the resources will go to the people. That is what you call social auditing. The people must know what belongs to them and they can cry foul when it does not reach them. That is what is necessary. Honorable Speaker, you cut this NDP. It talks about civil service reform. Civil servants, Honorable Speaker, under the current situation, if you are at grade 12, you are receiving 10,000, a little bit, approximately 10,000. Grade 11, less than $10,000 a month. Grade 10, 7,000. Grade 9, less than 7,000. Grade 8, 6,000. Grade 7, less than 5,600. Grade 6, about 4,000. Grade 5, about 3,000 something. Grade 3, 1,800 something. Grade 2, 1,000. So essentially, Honorable Speaker, where is the architecture of a civil service that is rewarded? And it is right and proper for the President to state that on behalf, that is page 70, on behalf of the entire nation, I thank all civil and public servants, the security service, personnel, all commission members, and I can go to the others, the friendly nations, etc., for standing on the side of Gambia. There is no doubt, especially when we look at this COVID-19 workers, those who are combating it. They are subjecting themselves to great danger. Many of them had suffered infection and had to go on the treatment, suffer stigma. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Vice President would need to tell us what is actually the state of COVID-19 and what the policy is to address it, because it's not very evident in the speech of the President. Honorable Speaker, the unit that is responsible for epidemiology has actually indicated that there are over 30 million people infected in the world, and 950,000 people are perished. In Gambia, we started with on 17th March, and now we have gone to over 3,200, and 108 people have already died. And those who have really been weakened by the illness are innumerable. So we are not talking about an ordinary problem. But what are their challenges? You look at the original objective is that we must deal with testing and treatment centers. That should be the architecture, testing and treatment centers. At least we should be told concretely where the testing centers are and where the treatment centers are. 500 million was provided for the procurement of equipment and materials. We need to know the equipment that had been purchased and the materials purchased. They're talking about disposal of medical waste. We need to know whether that has been provided. And where is it for us to be able to know that we have all these facilities that are required to fight the illness? That is not evident, and we need clear information on that. Honorable Speaker, you look at page 54 that deals with justice. And I don't want to go deeper and deeper in details. All of us can go to the National Development Plan and see the administrative justice, what was expected. They talk about indigenization of the judiciary. They talk about building the competence of judicial officers. All that is there, Honorable Speaker. We want judges who will deliver justice. Judges before whom millionaires will come, billionaires will come, and then you underpay them. Judges, when they retire, they know that they are retiring into poverty, and then they can appear before the court, and they are the ones who must create judicial precedents. What are you creating? You think they cannot create minefields for themselves in the way they deliver justice, so that eventually they know how to reap millions from that system? Instead of evaluating what we are talking about, we are trying to create the architecture of a state so that all of us will be secure. But we want to restrict ourselves into a small well, where when we look at the sky, we only see the cover of the well and feel that that is the world. We are dealing with the world. We are dealing with international agreements, with bills, where we intend to transform this country to deal with ICC cases. We have external arbitration where Gambia had lost billions by paying others. When we need to build our judicial system and get the right people to stay at the Attorney General's chambers so that when we have these cases, they go and fight it for the country. Let's go ahead. You see, I'm gray. I'm going. It's you, the young people, it's your country. Honorable Speaker, we talk about information and communication infrastructure. There are strategic objectives. I don't want to go into them to waste the time. You look at that, strategic objectives. They tell you, this is the percentage we want. That's what you need to have here. This is the percentage we anticipated. This is where we are. This is what is expected. You have a policy. You translate it into a strategic objective. You translate it into programs. You translate it into projects so that you'll be able to measure money to gauge whether you are attaining your strategic objectives or not. That's what this document should do for us, to tell us in communication, this is what we expected. This is what is missing. If you look at energy, for example, there are objectives of the megawatts of moving from using heavy fuel to use renewable energy from 2% to 40%. So the gas emission will be restricted. How far have we gone? That's what we need to measure. 2021 is not far. So essentially, Honorable Speaker, you look at all the elements. You see agriculture, for example. Honorable Speaker, agriculture is not only dealing, that's page 30, it's not only about rice production. And the plan that exists has gone beyond that. Honorable Speaker, we are told when we were ratifying that agreement, that we import $80 million worth of rice annually. That's about 4 billion. That came from that document. It's not me saying it, it's the document saying it. So what have we done to produce? We talk about the rice chain, what have we done to produce that? Honorable Speaker, those are the questions we need to ask. Honorable Speaker, talking about just actions taking place is not enough. We need the statistics. If you are importing 200,000 tons of rice, how much have you improved in bridging the gap? That's what we need. Have you been able to produce 60,000 tons? What's your next estimate? Each year, we know the estimation. Then we know we are moving towards food self-sufficiency. But how much money we have put in a place, that's not enough. We need the percentages to see how we are moving towards achieving the final goal. And they talk about horticulture. They talk about poultry. Talked about livestock. All these are part of a plan. And there are percentages telling you what should be. And these are the issues that needed to be presented here and tell us how far they have gone to be able to achieve that. Honorable Speaker, you look at fisheries. It's the same situation. We should be able to know what quantity we need locally. How far have we gone to be able to produce it? What do we need to export? We have international fishing. And we also have artisanal fishing. Artisanal fishing is our own people developing to be able to produce, to be able to feed us. Now you have people coming saying that they're investing, and they say they are fish meals. They go outside and hire people who will come to fish for them, and they process the fish. We do not benefit internally, and our people do not benefit in terms of being able to develop a skill. Why should we allow that to continue? Even with the European Union, why should we allow them to fish our waters without our young people being employed? We should lay a condition that even those we grant license, unless you employ 60% of our population, we will not grant you license. Who stops us from having that? And we can even have better than that. This, I'm just making generalization. You can condition them that this amount must be landed here before we grant you license. What are we negotiating in the process? Even if we say we are weak, even with our weakness, what are we negotiating to strengthen ourselves? And we look at this pittance of how many millions. You think that when you talk about millions in Gambian dollars, I don't know, million in Gambian dollars is nothing. It's pittance. We are earning nothing from our ocean, and our people are suffering. And we could have ensured that these associations of artisanal fishers will be actually put together, strengthen the Maritime Association, build up the institute, built up, linked to our education system as technical and vocational training to ensure that those are the people who will be employed. They'll go on practicals on those fishing vessels, be registered and employed. Our young people are being sent back. And others come and say they are investing in our country and get their people employed. Not only with what they use in terms of fishing vessels, but also they do not even land the fish on our territories and take it back and provide employment for themselves. And we are saying we are breaking from the past. Let's continue. Honorable Speaker, I will come to conclusion so that I will not monopolize this issue. But Honorable Speaker, if we look at higher education, research, science and technology, this is the key. Thousands of people are now graduating from our university. What do we have for them? That is the purpose of building up a department that you call one that deals with strategy and implementation, Department of Strategic Policy and Delivery. That is the objective. That should have sectors. The graduates that are coming from our university, what are they actually learning? What are we preparing them for? Where could they be fitted in? That's why you will link such policy and delivery. And that goes across the board. Whenever we can look at basic education now, because of COVID-19, we are moving more and more towards being digital, being linked to the whole digital system of the country. Shouldn't we start strategizing that the health education sector linked to this broadband and we start the whole process of e-learning? I think that is very, very, very important at this stage that we are confronting all these problems. This is the time to think about it. And with COVID-19, the Honorable Member for Wold West has said, are you just going to open the schools? What the unit responsible for examining what is happening with COVID-19 said is that people are dropping the face masks. They feel that the problem does not exist. So can you imagine if you open the schools, all those children move together? Have you prepared face masks for them? Have you prepared sanitizers for them? Have you prepared distancing for them? Will they just simply go back to business as usual? What is the plan? So, Honorable Speaker, all those are issues that should have been reflected here in terms of policy so that we know how to move. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to women, children, and social welfare, we know that we are even working on a Women Enterprise Fund bill, and what we have, and also the disabilities, persons with disabilities bill. One should have expected at least reflection on the policy that government is pursuing in order to ensure that women are empowered, given the resources that are needed, so that they'll be able to continue with the type of investments they are making to be able to survive. Many women are there ready to work, but they do not have the means. How do you provide them with the means to be able to work? How do you provide them also with other facilities, linked to other facilities, that when they produce their vegetables, etc., someone is there to be able to take it to the next level? What type of system are we going to have when we talk about an agricultural chain? Is it some disjointed production? Or are you going to say, yes, produce the coos? Then these are people we can give milling facilities so that they can mill the coos into flour. And those are the people who are bakers making bread, so that they will take that flour and turn it into bread. So you have a whole system in the country. That is the type of chain, agricultural chain, that can lead to the reduction of importation and ensure that we even export, that we are able to feed ourselves and survive based on our own soil. Honorable Speaker, I will conclude by saying that we are faced with a major decision to make. We are faced with a major decision to make, Honorable Speaker. And the President has reflected on it and has told us at page 69 that in spite of the dim picture, we will not be distracted, nor shall we relent. Dim picture, will not be distracted, and will not relent. Honorable Speaker, that's the direction we should be ready to take. We must not be distracted. We must not relent. The fundamental reason why Change Occurred in 2016 is designed to have a better Gambia. A new Gambia, a new Gambia. A Gambia of hope, a Gambia that will defeat self-perpetuating rule, where each of us will know that all of us matter. Each of us will know that all of us matter. And it's because of all of us that each of us is surviving. So it's for all for each, otherwise the nation is doomed. And that must be registered in our psyche. That we are not just simply engaged in propaganda. We must know that we will go. And what legacy are we going to leave behind? Honorable Speaker, we are the lawmakers of this land. We build the architecture of the state. It is left to us to decide. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Kantora.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I equally want to join my honorable colleagues to recognize the presence of Her Excellency the Vice President and Cabinet Ministers here in prison. Honorable Speaker, before going proper in the debate, I equally want to thank our head of state for actually adhering to Section 77 of the Constitution, at least once in a year, to come and address National Assembly on policies and programs of government to people's representatives. And what is incumbent upon us is actually to peruse through those policy statements line by line, page by page, make sense out of it, and see how we can actually add value to those policies and programs of government. In doing that, it's incumbent upon us to look at each line ministry. Every ministry has a portfolio, and those portfolios also, as alluded by earlier speakers, has been entrusted with taxpayers' money to execute services for the people of this country. And that is why it's important to have those in charge of those ministries here to listen to us very well. We may not know it all, but we can say it better, we can advise better. The reason being because we are at the grassroots. We crisscross every length and breadth of this country. We are easily reached. And that is why information from this August Assembly is worth listening to. It only enriches the report. It beautifies the report. That is, if those advices or those comments are given the due attention it deserves. Having said that, I will take few ministries that I have key interest on, notwithstanding every ministry is important in terms of, as far as governance is concerned. First of all, I will start with the health sector. There is no doubt that the report has touched the effect of COVID-19 in the health sector. And we have seen that how the health sector has been so stretched, so overwhelmed in terms of response to the fight against COVID-19. Honorable Speaker, there is no doubt COVID-19 has its pros and cons. It has its negative impact. And no nation in the world will burst off and say that COVID-19 did not stain me negatively or did not have any impact on me negatively in terms of economy, in terms of socialization, in terms of education, you name it. We've seen the sacrifice done by the minister and the frontline workers. We deserve to be saluted. That is why I'm really of the belief, if this country, in any time, really want to increase a pay in terms of high risk, if this country really want to increase any remunerations in this country, doctors and nurses are at higher risk than any other sector. Because we've seen during this pandemic period, those who lost their life in the protection of our people. We've seen the frontline workers putting their life at stake just to render service to the nation. I am of the conviction, if any civil servant need to be paid, need to be guaranteed life after work, so be the health workers. Notwithstanding, we are not going to belittle other sectors' employees, but these are people who are standing to safeguard you between life and death. Their job is really trying. So therefore, recognize the effort of the Ministry of Health, particularly the frontline health workers, for service for the nation, for service for their country. What is given to them is pittance in terms of risk allowance. If you are to make justice or make a yardstick in amount of dangers that is involved in the work, what they receive is pittance. So therefore, what's important in every sector is to see nation first. I want to also reiterate or call the attention of the Minister of Health that we are really saddened by the number of maternal mortality rates in this country. There is no enough resources in the health sector that could address that. But however, within the limited resource at hand, to see how best it could prioritize. Because we've seen campaign that women life matter. Of course, it does matter. And we are really concerned as people representative. The rate of maternal mortality rate in this country is really, really high. To see how best you could reshape policies, strategize, prioritize in terms of giving that sector, that area, a great attention. There is no joy in conceiving a child, a baby, for 9 months, left to be told that he or she lost her life during delivery. It's very painful. So therefore, it's a collaborative approach, both this parliament, legislature, or to make sure that we give enough resources in terms of the health sector in those areas to work with the executive in addressing this challenge. Honorable Speaker, water resources. We were acknowledged the tremendous effort done by the Ministry of Water Resources. However, there are still some communities that are still in limbo in terms of clean drinking water availability. And we all agree that clean drinking water is now part of fundamental human right. So therefore, every Gambian, whether in the rural Gambia or here, should really have access to clean drinking water. We've seen communities, and you are particularly where I come from, Kantora constituency, that still drink from open well. And we need to really bear in mind that what we consume has a spillover effect on our health as individuals. What we take has a replica effect on your health. So it's important for us to be given a clean drinking water to avoid diarrhea, to avoid overwhelming our hospital when we can really actually address it just by provision of clean drinking water. I want to really reiterate or to call on the Minister of Water Resources to really look into the plight of those people in the rural Gambia. Additionally, it's not only by providing water to them, but at this juncture, if my memory could serve me well, the last statement or speech delivered here by the president, he did mention a very fundamental policy initiative that was really welcoming. That is, they are coming up with the Water Regulatory Act. It's brilliant. It's welcoming. You see, this country has reached a certain situation whereby we need to regulate the proliferations of digging boreholes everywhere or in every corner of this country. There has to be a mechanism, there has to be a regulatory mechanism to control the provision of water to our people. You cannot just go, because of canvassing for vote, and dig a borehole, looking at the distance between the borehole and the sanitary. I mean, it's really not ideal, not wise. So therefore, the ministry should take up as a challenge to come up with the regulations whereby anybody who wishes or wants to dig a borehole has to pass through certain requirements to meet the standard of providing a clean drinking water. It is only through that we could really help in the protection of the lives of our people that we represent here. And that will also really help in terms of the number, the upsurge of patients being referred to hospital. So I call on the Minister of Water Resources to put it at the back of his mind to come up with this policy, and Parliament will be more than willing to make sure that proliferation of boreholes are really controlled and make sure that the standard is really met. The other ministry I would really want to also call upon, I think few speakers have already alluded to that. That is, we are really concerned as a country, the Ministry of Lands within our government. This country, it's high time for us to have a policy. Policy in the sense that we have to begin to have what we call a land banking system in this country. If we do not start to bank some lands now, generation yet unborn would really suffer the consequences. We've seen foreigners, I'm not against any foreigner, but Indians and other nationals taking bags in nylon, going to Alcalos, getting land, purchasing them, instead of to go and then make it either on lease for a number of years, purchase and have ownership. It's dangerous. What's really happening in South Africa, you've seen the fight of EFCC. That is the land reparations. Land must go back to the blacks. And it's something that we should really hit to and make sure that the issuance of land to non-Gambians will really control. And also, areas that are not fit for residential should also be cautioned. Other regulations in that area is also to really come up with an Estate Development Act. Anybody who wants to engage in estate business, you must make sure that you register with the ministry, give them the standard requirement, proper town planning. You cannot just go to anywhere and begin to develop estate. And even if you develop estate, there are some requirements that you cannot provide because they need to have a school, they need to have a football field, they need to have some basic facilities you couldn't provide. At the end of the day, they will be involved in land dealing, selling a plot of land.
Point of order.
And therefore,
Madam Speaker, point of order.
what is the point? What is the point of order?
Point of order, yes. Point of order. Yes. 29, Madam Speaker.
Your authority?
29.
20?
9.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, every member shall restrict his or her observation to the subject under discussion. We are looking at SONA, the president's speech, but he's talking as if we are doing a German debate. To minimize time, please.
Yes, the section that he has quoted is very relevant. So all I can do is just to remind you that we confine our debates on the subject matter, under discussion.
Madam Speaker,
I'm not making any ruling.
Madam Speaker, my
but please.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
My Badibukama is learning. We are talking about the Ministry of Lands, and the President has given a policy in terms of land issues. So we are trying to beautify this document, add value, and come with policies and program proposals for the executive to take and build upon. What is wrong with that? Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Trade, Regional Integration and Employment. I also really want to give them a challenge to come up with a comprehensive review GAIPA Act. It is really time for the Ministry of Trade to recognize the importance of GAIPA as the promoter of import and export agency, and make sure that bring up policies and programs to attract investors in this country. We've seen what we have just lost. 40 years, 4 decades of investment has been, taken to other country. That is the, how do you call it again? Banji breweries? Yes, Banji breweries. So therefore, as a country, there is a need for us to really move in terms of industrialization by encouraging investors, promoting investment, and also expediting the process of business registration in this country. So GAIPA really play a pivotal role, and it's important for them to have a look or review comprehensively the GAIPA Act. Having said that also, Honorable Speaker, I would quickly go into Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. Honorable Speaker, I'm of the view that we still have to look into the attempted, do I call it that way, vehicle policy. That vehicle policy was an issue here in this parliament, and when it's adequately looked at and studied critically, would really serve as a tool to minimize expenditure and also generate some savings for government. So the issue of the vehicle policy really need to be looked at again, because we are of the belief, of the conviction that it could really serve as a tool to create savings for government. Another minister, I want to also actually quickly rush into, because of save time, to thank the Ministry of Agriculture for the timely intervention of fertilizers here in this country. And I want to tell you, in the rural Gambia, we are anticipating a bumper harvest. And we also really call for a bumper market. Let me borrow that term from the member for Willie West. I remember being interviewed in a TV show that if you ask us to go back to the farms, and when there's a bumper harvest, there must be a bumper market as well for the farmers to buy. However, we really look forward for the minister to make sure that there is a bumper market. And equally, we also give a challenge to the minister to make sure that in terms of rice production in this country, to revitalize the Jahali pattern rice field. It's very important, and it could really alleviate poverty in terms of access to food. Last but not least is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Governments Abroad. Honorable Speaker, I could remember a theme of delegation left to Germany. The plight of irregular migrants need to be really taken with seriousness. Youths are there living very uncomfortably, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should take up as a challenge to make sure that the plight of Gambians over there is really looked at. And we are also calling again the Minister of Foreign Affairs to really engage the Parliament's Telecommittee on Foreign Affairs and see how possible we could really come up with some solutions in terms of addressing the plight of these able young men and women living in the diaspora who can be productive here in this country. But of course, otherwise they have chosen to go for greener pasture. But I can tell you they're in a very uncomfortable situation, and as a nation, we have to stand to defend our sons and daughters in any country or in any place they might find themselves in this world. So to sum up on that note, I really want to thank the President for giving elucidating on the document, a very well-detailed, comprehensive report to the National Assembly. Of course, as I alluded in my first statement, that we can only add value by coming with proposals, policy proposals, recommendations for the ministers in charge, because we believe that we are really in the grassroots, and we hear challenges and constraints of our people, and whom all of them, we both represent. So we could only give that policy advice and then also recommendation from this National Assembly for them to really add value and better the life of Gambia, which all of us have. On that note, I thank you so much for your indulgence, and also thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor.
Thank you. Please, honorable members, I just want to make an appeal for the remaining honorable members to stay in the chambers to allow the others who are out to come in, because I just observed that the numbers are dwindling, and really I don't think that's proper. So if we can just remain in the chambers and allow the others to come before anybody leaves to go and pray. Thank you. May I call on the honorable member for Tumana?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I also want to join my colleagues to take part in this important debate. This is a debate that talks about what happened last year, the route that this government is going to follow this year, the challenges that they faced, and the possible solutions to some of those challenges, I expect. Honorable Speaker, going through the speech of His Excellency the President, starting from page 6, where he talks about the performance of his government, the challenges of his government, and the achievements of his government. I was with the expectations that I will also see, like him mentioning the solution to some of those challenges that they have faced. But I went through the document. There are some parts where challenges, there are plans, how they are going to fix some of those challenges, but in other areas or sectors, nothing has been made mention about that. So this is a call, or is a concern for me as a member of parliament. You go to page 9 of the report. That's where number 2 is Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. There is something that I to, honestly, from 6% to 2%, honestly, when I saw this thing, it really gave me a headache. And I think the minister is here. He is going to throw some light on this, why these be dropped from 6% to 2%. Honorable Speaker, going through the report again, or the speech, you go to page 12, where you have interior. The President, I believe, interior, but what I was expecting, I didn't see some of those things here. But I think I went through it. Okay. If you may permit, Honorable Speaker, in collaboration with other services, engagement in community and border patrols. However, border enforcement activities on irregular migrants and perpetrators of transactional organized crimes, such as trafficking due to COVID-19. These two is scary, Honorable. This has to do with the internal security of this nation. What is happening in this country right now is known to everybody. And this trafficking and smuggling, this is something that we have to really pay attention to. Some of these things are happening in this country right now. But if the interior are constrained in addressing some of these issues, I am really scared it might not trigger something in the country. Because what is happening right now is totally, madness. What we are going through as a nation. So this is something that I believe the Minister of Interior, if there is any need for this Parliament to help you to address some of these issues, because we cannot just leave them as it is. This could even be a threat to the national security of this country, or the internal security of this country. So this is something that we really have to look at. The President talked about the number of theft cases in this country. You go to URL. People are coming from Senegal, southern part of Senegal, getting into Gambia. Close borders, or where you have Maka Masireng, you have the Fode Kundas, you have Sarak Pirasu. So people are coming out from Senegal, getting into the Gambia. And we have a security. We have both the military and the police. But if these people are not fully equipped to protect the life and the livelihood of the people of this country, Honorable Speaker, this will be very serious. Right now, if you go to URL, the government is calling for food security. And when you talk about food security, you don't only talk about cereals. you also talk about livestock. Almost in every household in the Upper River region have this small ruminant. But right now, it's like people are even give up on having these small ruminants. Because people are coming all the way from Senegal, getting into the center of URR, getting these livestock, smuggling with them to Senegal back again without anything happening. People even lost trust and confidence in the security. And in as much as they want to protect the life and the livelihood of the people of the URR, their life as well is important. They cannot be risking their life. Honorable Speaker, this is something that we really have to look at. We still have children, we still have a lot of children out there selling on their plates up to 10 p.m. at night. You go to Tabokoto every day, even today it's going to happen. Nothing will be done about it. These are the future leaders of this country, and they need to be protected. This is why I keep on saying this. If parents fail in their responsibility as parents, the state should not fail in their responsibility as state. We are here today because we've been protected by state and our parents as well. Some of the kids don't have mothers, they don't have fathers. They are orphans. They have been abused by their guardians. So there, you don't expect those parents to come from the graves to take care of those kids. It is the state that has to protect those kids. You go to Tabokoto up to now. Even today it's going to happen. You go there, it's going to happen. They are still selling. I think we really need to do something about this. You talk about rape. Rape in this country is rampant. Maybe even today someone is attempting it again. It's very sad. If it did not happen to my sister, maybe your sister. It's very sad. Unwanted pregnancy is very sad. A woman is the most dignified human being on earth. Why all this rape? Why can't we stop this rape in this country? Why can't the government protect the people? Even though if they are going to do it, maybe you count it in a year, 1 or 2, but every day, every month, every hour, every second is happening in this country. It's very sad. Road accident. You talked about road accident in this country. Honorable Speaker. People are dying like flies. What do we need to do to protect these lives? Honorable Speaker, the same page 12, however, it is predicted that collection for 2020 is likely to drop severely due to the pandemic. Similarly, the production and issuance of national identity cards, biometric passports, and other official documents were postponed. The result was a huge loss of revenue for the sector. I think we can fix this. When it is time for election, people will go around this country, the entire country, they will go across the length and breadth of this country to make sure that people have their voters card. Why can't we do with national identity cards? Even not every community, but even at least clusters
where people can have access to this. There are a lot of complaints that people are lodging to me that if I want to go and look for identification card in Basse, you look at the amount of money you pay, to and fro, and you have to take breakfast too. What about if you are 10 in your family, and in a household, how much are you going to pay? This is a burden on the life of the people. The people who cannot put a meal on the table for the family, you expect these people to come to Basse and provide this national identification card. But when we need their votes, we go back to them, community by community, even household by household, but with our national identification card. Why can't we do the same thing to ease the burden on their lives? I was told, I'm a youngster, but I was told in the First Republic they were doing it. Some people even show me their identity card, that I got this at the Bantaba. Why can't we do the same thing with this one too? Honorable Speaker, page 7, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency is facing serious challenges arising from the pandemic. They have limited operational capacity, and this could increase the rate of undetected drug abuse. Our young people are getting spoiled in this country, and this has to do with crime rate. There are some parts in Fajikunda, you are not even mad to fly through those roads.
May I just interrupt you for a second? Honorable members, it's getting to 6 o'clock, which is our official time. No, sorry. Let me just finish my sentence. It's getting to 6 o'clock, which is the official time, and we still have about 6 more interventions for the honorable ministers to also respond. Are we proceeding beyond 6 o'clock, or do we? No, please, can I? That's why I did not call for motions. I'm just trying to explain so that I'll throw it onto the floor. Do we want to sit beyond 6 o'clock, in which case we have to move a motion, or do we allow the debate to continue to the official time and then we adjourn? That's why I want to. Yes, Honorable Loanyo.
Point of order, please. I'm raising a point of order. A point of order. Yes, I'm raising on point of order 12.2 that if any other time the attention of the Speaker is directed at the fact that there is less than 1/4 of the members of Parliament present, exclude the Speaker, he or she shall direct the members to summon the ringing of bell. And if in the situation whereby members are not present, then the adjournment business stand adjourned until next sitting. So I am of the impression that we don't have 1/4 here.
I think we have more than 1/4. We have more than 1/4. The issue of a bell would not even arise here. But my problem, well, it's not a problem, but I am just asking, do we want to sit beyond? Because some people have gone for prayers. You've given your view. He did not complete. Did you finish your intervention? No, I mean Loanyomi. Let him finish and then you.
I'm already on my way.
Your microphone, please.
Madam Speaker, I wanted to move a motion based on 11, the sitting, that the Assembly may not sit beyond 6 o'clock. But with your explanation and intervention, we have observed that the members present are less than the quorum required. Yes.
Proper head count then and
Okay.
see. Just a second. Let's just do the proper thing. We will get there.
Okay.
Because I know some of them they've gone for prayers, that's why. Pardon?
There is no quorum, madam, and
Quorum starts at the beginning of the session.
pardon?
Okay, what I will do then in that case, maybe I think it is in order for me to use my discretion, allow the debate to continue, and then I will adjourn at 6 o'clock.
Creating a precedence.
Thank you. Tumana, can you proceed, please?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Okay, I was talking about the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Like you go to Fajikunda today or tonight, there are certain roads you dare not even to try it, to fly through those roads. Some of those kids, they are underage, they are intoxicated. What do we do? Tanka, there is only a limited space in Tanka. But how many youths are driving towards that Tanka? What do we do? I think there should be a solution to this. Let us think about this. Let us think about this and see if there is any way in which we can help as Parliament. I am more than the word willing to help, to save the life of a youth in this country. If there is any support that I can do in this Parliament, I am more than the word ready to do it. You go to page 15 of the speech, Honorable Speaker, where it says the project targets rural households in the West Coast, North Bank, Central River, URL, and Lower River. You go down to 5, the context of COVID-19, the project aims provide quick responses, support NAFA quick. You go down up to 6. What I'm requesting for is, can we have a list to ascertain what this speech is saying? Because there are a lot of abnormalities when it comes to money in this country. People are not straightforward. The people who are supposed to get this fund, the fund will be diverted into private pockets. Honorable Speaker. You go to 7. Apart from the duties and the national disaster, apart from other duties, the National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA, has been involved in coordinating many government food assistance for over 84% of households in the country. The distribution was successful, completed as planned. This is totally misleading. It's totally misleading, Honorable Speaker. If I can use another adjective to say it, but I think this is the best way to say it, it's totally misleading. There are still people in my constituents who still don't have this food. So if you said it's is successfully completed as planned, honestly, you are not doing justice to those poor people who are supposed to get this food. The people who should not get this food are the ones getting the food. Why? Let us have mercy for the people of this country. You go to my village, up to date, they still don't have their oil, and they are entitled to it. When I said you, I mean the government. The government is not doing a favor, but it is our right to get that food item. It's not a favor. You go to Diabuguba Tapa, you go to Pirai and Diabuguba Tapa. And even in the Woolies, there is a community in Woolly, in Honorable Woolly West, Woolly East constituency, and even West. There are communities that still don't have this food item. Some will have sugar, and others will have oil. Some will have oil, others will have rice. That is unjust. That's really unjust. So I am saying that this statement in this report here is totally misleading. So I think, in fact, this has to be looked at. From here, I think I should even go to NDMA to do a fact-finding on this. Because I am told that, there is some arrangement being made that these people are going to get their food item. But if the president is telling us that this thing has been successfully completed as planned, no. You go to page 23 of the speech. Yes, in 2019, a total of 85 MSMEs, 213 youths, and 116 entrepreneurs were supported. How? How were they supported? I want to know, as a young man, you don't just say, I support. You don't just say, I support, but how did you support them? Because if you train someone, give the person $3,000, is that a support? That's not, absolutely. This is why we are just going around. We are not going anywhere. Why not, if you intend to train 100 youths, why not you train only 10 and give them the required resources so that, other people or other youths can emulate from them. The resource that you will give them will at least go a long way in trying to help them to sustain themselves and their families and other people who are standing on them. But you just tell me that, you train this number of youths. How? How do you train them? I want to know, Honorable Speaker, I really want to know how these youths were trained and supported. You go to page 24 again. This is the most dangerous thing, Honorable Speaker. A quick assessment conducted by the ministry in partnership with the Ghana Bureau of Statistics on the labor market reveals that job losses is estimated at 52,752 employed people in both the formal and informal sector. As a result of the lockdown, this will worsen the already higher unemployment rate of 35.2% as reported in 2018. Honorable Speaker, I want the ministers to challenge me. The number of jobs created when this government came into being, you calculated is less than 5,000 jobs. And within 6 months, 52,000 jobs has been lost. This is a concern as a nation. Unemployment in this country will only trigger insecurity. If I have no food in my stomach, any possibly means that I can get food, I will do it. This is why stealing is on increase. Stealing is on an increase. Today, now that people they don't even allow you to go to bed. You be in your car, they attack you. You be in your house, they attack you. Because they need to survive. If a government cannot create 5,000 jobs in 4 years, but we can lose 52,000 jobs in 4 years, where are we heading to as a nation? Please, let's come together. As technocrats, we as parliament, we are partners in development. We are more than the word willing to support. We will support you. Just come up with your programs. Honestly, I believe 60% of this parliament consists of youths. I cannot eat food, go to bed, enjoy the electricity and water, cold water for that matter. And a fellow youth is on the street crying for food. This is unbelievable. In this 21st century? No. No. That's unacceptable, Honorable Speaker. 52,000 jobs. No. So now I want to know, with these 52,000 losses of job, what plan has the government laid down to address this issue? Because if this pandemic has to continue for 2 years, the statistician or the mathematician is not here. Let him just calculate and see the number of people that are going to lose their job. So I want to have a solution to this. If there is any, and if there is any that we can help, we will be more than the world willing to help. You go to 27. I will seize this opportunity to stress that recent land ownership conflict stirred by individual interests have been noted by my government. Having inherited most of them, I assure those affected that my government is working to ensure that the rule of law and justice prevail. The ultimate goal is to sustain peace so that we can focus on development and live together peacefully. Honorable Speaker, you go to URL, we are living in hell. URL, about this land issue, we are living in hell. My own community with another community. When I was young, we normally go there and play football, up to now. But just all of a sudden, the people of my community are not even, they are not even mad to go to the other community. And the other community too are not also mad. But it did not only stop there. It has to do with tribe. Where are we heading to as a nation? Where is the Land Commission? What have we done? What other alternative are we using as a government to address this issue? This is a call of... Anyway, let's just see what will happen. The Land Commission has been instituted in this country. But they have to come up with something and tell us this is what we want to do to address all these issues. But nothing has been made mention in this speech here. In fact, this is just a booklet. This is just a booklet. I believe a lot of issues have not been captured in this. And if someone has to have access to this booklet, honestly, it's going to be a disgrace to the entire nation. A lot of effort has been made by most of these ministries. A lot of good jobs have been done by these ministries, but they are not being captured in this speech. You go to 30.
Convenient point for me to invoke clause 13 of the standing orders to suspend the sitting of the Assembly till tomorrow. And the sitting is hereby suspended till tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock a.m. for continuation. You'll have an opportunity to finish your intervention tomorrow. And then we have about 3 more to call on the Honorable Ministers and Her Excellency to respond to the issues. So the House stands adjourned till tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Honorable Ministers. Thank you. Honorable members, thank you very much. Thank you.